I'll tell you what, as Belgian Grand Prix go, this was by far one of the more chaotic. I mean, it wasn't quite, 2018. It wasn't quite 2012. But we had first lap safety cars, we had all kinds of different retirements, we had penalties left, right and centre, and drama surrounding it with allegations of good old Ferrari international assistance. Let's dive right in. And let's start off with the winners. 6 pole positions this year and 6 race wins from pole position. Andrea, Kimi, Antonelli. He won by 2 seconds today. He lost the lead to a well-timed VSC that benefited Charles Leclerc. More about the Ferraris in a moment. He also benefited by the fact that his teammate was out halfway around lap 1 in the kitty litter on the outskirts of Les Combes. Yeah, so with George Russell out for the count and apparently complaining about all these different power issues, more of that later on, Antonelli was just comfortable. He was under some threats. Verstappen briefly led, for example, and Lando Norris, because of things like desync on the different pit stops, was able to get ahead for a bit, but he didn't look under threat. I'll say that much. And I'll tell you what, we do actually need to talk Ferrari for quite a bit today. Charles Leclerc gets second place, though he very nearly ended up with a penalty for the amount of pinch moves that he did at one point on his own teammate into Les Combes, but arguably the most dangerous of them was the defence on Oscar Piastri, which sent parts of the cars flying up, and I think caused the first of the 2 VSCs as well. Yeah, that was very aggressive. I was surprised Leclerc did not pick up a penalty, but he was 2 seconds off of Antonelli at the end of the race. It was a good run. He should be really proud of that. I was surprised that he didn't actually hold on to win. Such was the advantage of that VSC stop. But such the advantage of the way that the Mercedes is put together, I'm also not surprised that Antonelli was able to get through. Lewis Hamilton, on the other hand, took out George Russell. Not intentionally. That's why he got a 5-second penalty, was first lap, following Max Verstappen, and there was a bit of a pinch. George Russell said it was a racing incident when interviewed by Sky midway through the race. I don't know if he had a chance to look back at the incident itself, but I could see racing incident. I could also see the 5-second penalty, because at the end of the day, there is a pinch. Lewis opens up his steering a little bit, but there is also dirty air. So Lewis is to blame for the contact. He is trying to stick it up the inside and battle through Les Combes on lap 1 of a 44-lap race. But at the same time, he's not causing an incident. He's not doing back out or crash. He's doing side-by-side racing. So it's a weird halfway house between a 10-second penalty, which many people would expect to be the standard, and at the same time, the no further action that Leclerc got for his incident with Piastri. And I think we take a moment to talk about the remainder of the top 7 now. Max Verstappen, he's making the most of the opportunities with that Red Bull, the strongest powertrain according to the ADWO calculations, or at least the strongest ICE part of the powertrain. And I think that he made that work. Especially when you end up being battery limited, you can default back to what's going on with your ICE. And after what seemed to be a real wilderness race that ended up with the wildest crash at Silverstone, Verstappen seemed a lot more himself. I mean, he was rapid in qualifying and he gets a podium in the race. A 300th podium, I believe, for Red Bull Racing. Well done to them for that, by the way. Oscar Piastri gets 5th place, and given that he was missing parts of the car, that's a good run. Isaac Hadjar gets 6th place, and yeah, he's just looking capable in second Red Bull, and that's what they need. After so much tumultuous times, you could argue that since Ricciardo, there wasn't really a strong kind of balance to Verstappen in the team. Hadjar is proving to be the best of those measures, at least since early Checo. And then Lando Norris. Lando came back from, 13th on the grid to get 7th in the end, having to carve through quite a competitive field, some of whom kept driving into each other. Yeah, I think the best kind of damage limitation job that Norris could have done on the day. Oh, and since I didn't mention it, Lewis's unsafe release that ended up being a €30,000 fine, €10,000 of which was suspended to Ferrari. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about it. These things happen, are fine, especially when it really didn't benefit the team, is often fair. I mean, we've seen that happen in the past for teams like Mercedes, for instance, actually. It's good that everyone was okay. And for Lewis, the biggest impact that it had on his race was actually that he couldn't get the front wing adjustment. And so when it came to the switch to hards, the front wing wasn't adjusted. That's supposedly why he was so far off of Verstappen and Leclerc at the end of the race. But let's talk George Russell for a moment before we get into talking about the other drivers, because I do feel for him. I don't know what this thing about the power unit is. Mercedes haven't really talked too much about it. They believe that they're investigating it. Is it a thing of just how he interacts with the 2026 rule set? Possibly. Is it just this one power unit? Also possibly. Remember, he had the power unit failure in Canada, for example, and he was competitive until they changed over after, the failure in Canada. I don't really know what it is. And he's started to show the kind of frustrations that we saw from, say, Lewis last year, when he was saying that he wanted Ferrari to be firing him because he was just not there. He looks really despondent, and that's never nice to see. It's never nice to see at any point. It's never nice to see in Formula 1, especially for somebody who was the favourite for the championship coming into this season. But, yeah. I just hope the summer break is a good reset for him. Maybe they have to take penalties at some point and end up going through more than their regular power unit allocations. But, yeah, we'll see about that, won't we? But let's talk about the others now, shall we? Gabriel Bortoleto, by the way, gets 8th place. Good job for Audi. Audi could be quite happy with that. Nico Hulkenberg is still not on the points board for this season. He's one of 3 drivers not to score points. One of 4 even, because it's Lance Stroll and the 2 Cadillacs that haven't scored points as well this season. He was down in 13th at the end of this. He was stuck behind the Racing Bulls and the Alpines, who were all having little kerfuffles within themselves. But Bortoleto managed to get through. Bortoleto has just continued to prove that he is that competent driver, that competent kind of wheelman that Sauber picked last year. It's great to see F2 champions make that graduation, especially when they have quite a quiet graduation to start off with. And you are seeing that with Gabriel Bortoleto. It's a bit like how Piastri came in with McLaren, except slightly lower profile, a bit more like if Piastri had come in with Alpine originally, like was intended. But let's briefly talk the Racing Bulls. They had another moment again this time around, where I think Lawson Lindblad was just battling away for so long. I think Lindblad got forced off and Lecom just after the pit stops. They need to get a grip of what's going on between those 2 drivers, because they are way too competitive, especially given that they are, battling at the tail end of the points. And you could argue part of it then contributed to the fact that Lawson is down in 12th, outside of the points, and behind the 2 Alpines. Yeah, it was fascinating, let's say. Lindblad gets a point for 9th, Colapinto gets a point for 10th, and then Gasly and Lawson are just outside. They are 1 and 1.5 seconds off of Colapinto and the points, but they're on the outside looking in. For the other teams, Haas was not really anywhere to be seen. Ocon ended up driving into his own teammate on lap 1. He ends up being last of the lead lap drivers. Behrman ends up behind Hulkenberg 13th, Behrman 14th, and the 2 Williams cars. What rotten luck. Albon was out in Q1, Sainz gets damage on lap 1, and he said he did to prove the wing change. If it had have been for the damage in the wing change, he probably would have been ahead of Behrman. He might have been in that pack that was scrapping for the final point. But it's a shoulda, woulda, coulda kind of situation. One of the Cadillacs made it to the end in Valtteri Bottas. He was a lap down. Fernando Alonso was 2 laps down. And for their teammates, there was retirements. I think it was power unit for Stroll and suspension for Checo. Then the only other one who is not classified, we've already discussed, is George Russell. As for the point standings, Andrea Kimi Antonelli now has a lead of 45 points over Sir Lewis Hamilton, with George Russell 50 points off the title lead in 3rd. And Charles Leclerc, by the way, is now 28 points behind George Russell. Leclerc is closing the gap to Russell. Lando Norris is 5th, 23 points behind Leclerc. And then Piastri is a further 11 points back. Only 1 point clear of Max Verstappen now, who is 31 points himself clear of Isaac Hadjar in 8th place. The top 10 being rounded out by Pierre Gasly on 42 points, and then on 39 points, Liam Lawson. But the closeness in the standings between the different VCARB drivers and the Alpine drivers means that Mercedes on 358 points, Ferrari on 285, McLaren 105, Red Bull on 181, and then for joint 5th, going to Alpine on countback, it's Alpine and Racing Bulls on 61 points. Yeah, they're 90 points behind Red Bull, but they're also 40 points clear of Haas in 7th, 50 points clear of Williams in 8th, and then when it comes to 9th place Audi, they are 51 points clear, and 60 points clear of Aston Martin in 10th. Cadillac, the only team not to have points on the board. So that's that for this video, folks. I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about. If I've missed anything out, do let me know in the comment section down below. If there's anything that you think I really should have mentioned as well, do let me know in the comment section down below. We now have to get ready for the Hungarian Grand Prix this time next week. So stay with me. We're going to be covering that. I'm going to be covering various other series from the world of motorsport, from national level series like the BTCC and then NASCAR over in the States, to intercontinental series like the European Rally Championship, which is also going on next weekend, and then world championships such as F1. Alright, until then, bye for now.